So now they are Viscount and Viscountess of the Bridgerton household. However, we did not get enough of Kate and Anthony. Hey everyone, welcome back to Candid Cinema. I'm Amanda, otherwise known as AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Today I will be reviewing Bridgerton Season 3, Part 1. Huge shout out to Netflix for giving me the opportunity to watch this ahead of its release. I know I haven't been around much on the YouTubes. I've been doing a lot more writing than recording as of recent, but I had to come back here for Bridgerton Season 3, Part 1. I've covered Season 2, I did Queen Charlotte, so it's only natural for me to come back for Bridgerton Season 3, Part 1. I love this series. And for me, going back to Bridgerton, going back to the seasons, it feels like going home. And I know that Jonathan Bailey said the exact same thing. Obviously, it's different because he's in the family. He is a Bridgerton, but it just feels like for us, we are part of the Bridgerton family. And I just feel so comfortable knowing all of them. I feel so connected to each of them. And it feels like they're my siblings as well. So you're rooting for them constantly. And I think that this is one of the best series that Netflix has created. I started reading the book. I have Romancing Mr. Bridgerton right here. And it is the first book from Julia Quinn that I decided to read just to prep for Season 3. Now, the book and the season are very different. My one negative, and I'll start off with a negative because there's so much to love about this season, is that it's overstuffed. But every Bridgerton season is overstuffed because there are way too many characters and some unnecessary characters that they really shouldn't have put in just to set other things up. I don't understand why certain characters had a spotlight in Season 3. I don't know where that's going to lead, but it's just very interesting to see how many characters are in the mix here. And they keep adding people. One of them, very prominent, Francesca's back. And we didn't see her in Season 2, I believe. She was only in Season 1, Francesca Bridgerton, but she comes back. I thought Francesca's addition was lovely. She is so different than the rest of her siblings. I think the contrast is needed. I think that it was a perfect debut in contrast to Penelope's season, just because Francesca's so timid and reserved. And she does kind of want to be a wallflower, considering that she's under a microscope, possibly being the diamond of the season here. And even Penelope says, like, oh, naturally, like, everyone's gonna flock to Francesca instead of me. And like, this is my third year on the marriage mart. I'm a spinster. But then she sees Francesca and she's the total opposite of what a Bridgerton would be. She doesn't want the spotlight. She loves playing her piano. She just wants to be on her own. She likes to talk about things that she loves and that she's passionate about, but that doesn't mean that she wants to carry a conversation, an empty conversation. And I find value in that as well. So I loved Francesca's story here, and I love her connection with Anthony. I love her connection with her mother, but most importantly, I think her friendship with Penelope was so lovely, considering that she just got back into the family. She just came back from Bath, and I think that they had a really sweet connection this season, and I hope that carries out in future seasons, considering Penelope and Colin's love story here. So moving from Francesca, I do have to mention Kate and Anthony. This is a big deal for me. You guys know how much I love Season 2. Anthony is my heart and soul. I loved their season. I love their romance. I love their chemistry. So now they are Viscount and Viscountess of the Bridgerton household. However, we did not get enough of Kate and Anthony because Kate is supposed to come into her own as Viscountess. She's supposed to have these conversations with Eloise and Colin, and she's supposed to have these conversations with Francesca because even their friendship is great as well. Like, I just didn't get enough of Kate being in the family. And I think that her being an older sister to so many of them with the absence of Daphne is something that's so important here. And I think they underutilized both Anthony and Kate being like the older siblings to so many of them. Instead, their storyline was kind of used for comedy relief at points, and it was just like throwaway lines to kind of move them forward as a couple in the Bridgerton household. But I just didn't understand why they didn't do more with them, because Colin was very much on his own in making these decisions. And I just thought that there would be more of a brotherly connection, even with Benedict, which I'll get into afterwards. But Kate and Anthony was overshadowed by Cressida Cowper's story and Mondrick's story. Those are the two. I understand Cressida Cowper's because of like what happens in the book. I completely get that part. But with Mondrick, like they're not even remotely in this book. And they did so much with their characters. You really had to put them in there that much. And then I was fortunate enough to also watch episodes 5 and 6, and I was just very interested to see where their story was going. I know there's a point to it. I'm pretty sure there will be, but I was just very confused as to why they were stealing thunder from Kate and Anthony. Again, I understand Cressida's story. I like that we got more of a backstory with Cressida Cowper, considering the budding relationships that are in season 3. I think we needed a bit more from her. It's their 3rd season on the Marriage Mart, and I think to get a little bit more backstory of Cressida while Penelope was also courting Lord Debling, I think it was just necessary for her, but not Mondrick. I love the two of them. I really do, but I just think that there was too much of it and it overpowered other relationships that could have been more prominent this season. There were small things, even Lord Anderson coming in, like Lady Danbury also doesn't have that much of a role in this season. And unfortunately, I know I'm going to keep picking up this book. I have my tabs here. Okay, Lady Danbury and Penelope are supposed to be BFFs this season. Okay, and they just gave Penelope none of Lady Danbury. Lady Danbury had lines that went to Violet Bridgerton, and I think they kind of spread out what Lady Danbury was supposed to be for Penelope, and it bothered me because they even gave some lines that were in the book to Francesca, and I understand what you're trying to do, but a Lady Danbury and Penelope friendship was something I was so excited about going into season 3 because of the book, and it didn't happen. So that's something else, because in the book, Penelope's more outspoken this season, and Lady Danbury is just so intrigued by her and how smart she is and her wit and her charm, and she helps her. And I just really valued that in the book because they're one and the same, really. If you read the book of Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, you'll see the similarities between Lady Danbury and Penelope, and I thought that was really special, but they didn't do that. Again, it's because they had to usher in Francesca as her debut, and I think that's where Lady Danbury's energy went. But going into the positives, I know I started off with the negatives. I had to get all of that off my chest. I loved Colin and Penelope's story. I am a sucker for friends to lovers. My favorite movie is When Harry Met Sally. So there you go. Okay? 12 years in the making in the book, technically, for Penelope and Colin. 3 seasons in the making for the television series. And I just loved every second of them on screen. First of all, Luke Newton as Colin. What a charmer. My dude, you did not disappoint whatsoever. He was great as Colin. I think Colin came into his own as a character, and I think that a lot of people are going to struggle with actually liking Colin and Penelope this season because, they're the supporting characters that no one really cares about. And they're there and you find some laughs with them. You do think they're cute and all of that, but then they step into the spotlight and you're just sitting there like, oh my God, they were there this whole time for 3 seasons. Like, what are you talking about? And they come into their own. I think Nicola was phenomenal in this season as Penelope. She showed such beautiful, humility and vulnerability and strength and such power with her words. And I think that I just love her even more. I know people are going to struggle with what happened at the end of season 2 with Lady Whistledown, and I get that, but there's a lot of good for Penelope apart from Lady Whistledown. We don't have to look at Lady Whistledown. We have to look at Penelope right now. And I think they did an incredible job just balancing both of those. I like the fact that they switched it from the book a bit more because Penelope was really down on herself and she would keep telling Colin oh, you don't have to do this out of pity. You don't have to do this out of pity. So we kind of removed all of that negative energy. And instead we replaced it with Lord Debling trying to get Penelope, which was incredible because that made Colin extremely jealous because he was trying to help her find a husband and, court other members of the ton. So I think that that was just really special. I liked that development where Colin was falling for her while she was trying to find somebody else. And, the yearning was there. That's all we want to see in a Bridgerton couple. So he was yearning for her, pining for her. He didn't understand how his perspective could have changed for Penelope. And I think it was just a beautiful evolution for this friendship into lovers. I thought it was great. I think Luke Newton really just showed so much emotion and sensitivity when it came to this, out of his confusion and his love for Penelope, because you can love a friend, but there's something that just, it snaps, it changes, and it alters if you love them even more than that. So I think that he did that incredibly well. Between Colin and Penelope, their chemistry is off the charts. It's a different chemistry. It's not like as raw and magnetic as, Kate and Anthony, but it's a slow build between Colin and Penelope. Like, I was amazed by the way that Colin was looking at her, and Penelope was playing it more reserved, even though she does, love him. She's starting to lose that love for him a little bit the more she entertains Debling. But I loved everything that was from the book between them. Those scenes are in the series, my friends, okay? And they did an incredible job, all right? They did. I've only seen like 3 big ones, and they're everything. They're everything. I think everyone's going to be very happy about the execution of the carriage scene. I think everyone's going to be very happy with the mirror scene, especially with the mirror scene. I sat there and I was like, I don't know how in God's name they're filming this, because Luke and Nicola are like, they're best friends, but they're so intimate with each other. And I mean, like, they're close, fam. Like, they're closer than Kate and Anthony. Like, it was just insane what they did with them. That's all I gotta say. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The execution's wonderful, and you will literally watch those scenes over and over again. Specifically the carriage scene, because I went back, and I know Nicola was saying this, the carriage scene has the most beautiful declaration of love, and I still go back to just watch that little moment from Colin, because it's just so well written, and it makes me feel like all warm and toasty inside. Like, it was just such a beautiful moment. And then obviously the carriage scene happens, but like that alone before the carriage scene, I thought was such a beautiful moment. And the series is great. That's it. Season 3, if I had to rate it, I can't rate it yet because it's still a part 1, but I'm sitting at like, I want to say like a 4 out of 5, even though like I really love the Colin and Penelope stuff, but everything else was just so much excess. I also have to speak on Benedict. I said that I was going to mention Benedict. I did not like his story here. There's really no character development. I think they were just stalling and they rehashed certain things. I think it's such a throwaway story for Benedict with no development. They gave some of Colin's purpose basically in the book to Benedict to set him up for his season. I do 100% think that Benedict is going to be season 4. I don't think Eloise is ready yet, and that excites me because Benedict has a really, really incredible love story, and I would love to see Luke as well in front and center. So I think that it's going to switch to Benedict. But as I said, I was very disappointed with what they did with him. It's very much the same. He's more involved. He's very funny. We love him for that. But it's just, it wasn't enough. And it felt a lot like Anthony in season 1, where you're just waiting. Okay, we know you're next, but here you go. Like every season of Bridgerton, it's overstuffed with a million characters and you're trying to keep track of everything. They do it a bit better in this season than season 2. But again, when it comes down to Penelope and Colin's love story, it's all that matters. And it's really strong and I loved it. You guys are going to freak out with the scenes that I mentioned that are directly from the book, and it's going to be everywhere this weekend. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Let me know who your favorite Bridgerton couple is down in the comments below. Mine will forever be Kate and Anthony, so let me know in the comments below. And you guys can always follow me over at AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. And if you guys want to help me grow this wonderful channel, you can find out ways to do that in the bio below. I'll catch you guys next time. Keep watching movies.